Mysteries to Die For welcomes Ken Harris back to the morgue. Retired from the FBI, Ken's experiences feed his unique perspective that he channels into hardcore and fast-paced crime thrillers. He is the author of the From the Case Files of Steve Rockfish series. Meet Steve and his partner Jawnie McGee in The Pine Barrage and Stratagem. Then hustle with them through See You Next Tuesday, A Bad Bout of the Yips, and The Ballad of the Great Value Boys. Every one of them is a page-turner. Welcome to Mysteries to Die For. I am TG Wolff and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is a podcast where we combine storytelling with the original music to put you at the heart of a mystery. All the stories are structured to challenge you to beat the detective to the solution. Jack and I perform these live, front to back, no breaks, no fakes, no retakes. In the world's most dangerous working environments, it can seem like everything is out to kill you. The equipment you use, the materials you work with, the very air you breathe. Stored energy is a coiled viper waiting for the right moment to lash out. Owners, manufacturers, contractors, and beyond have developed safety protocols to combat sticky, that is, stuff that can kill you. Gravity, motion, mechanical, electrical, pressure, sound, radiation, biological, chemical, temperature. This season is all about the means of murder as authors put our sticky detective skills to the test. This is Season 9, Stuff That Can Kill You. And welcome to Episode 8, where chemical is our sticky means of death. This is Bedpan Alley by Ken Harris.
Hello.
You know, it's really hard for me to time the Welcome to Mysteries to Die For when I have no idea where you're going with that arpeggio.
Well, that's the point. I keep you on your toes.
Yes, you do.
So this episode is about older adults.
It is about older adults.
And in specifically a nursing home?
And
What's
specifically, yes, a senior care facility, yep.
Interesting. So when you think of old people, do you think of accordions? We discussed this before we started
I'm pretty sure
recording.
we've had this discussion, other episodes where you just like the accordion, and you have roots to
it
be
fits
connected.
in multiple contexts.
It does.
Are you outside? Well, you're playing accordion in the park. I'm pretty sure Chicago sang about that. Didn't you know that?
Playing accordion
Saturday in the park. I shouldn't sing that. I'm going to get copyright striked.
But I don't think there was an accordion in there.
I think there's someone like an old guy playing an accordion in the park. You know, There's a line about that. I'm pretty sure there's a line about that.
Okay. So you're saying you're going with an accordion.
I'm not going to go with an accordion. We can't do an accordion every single episode. As much as I'd love to.
I am really grateful that you know that.
You know what we should go with? Hold on, let me find it. I can find it. If we get, the honky tonk. I've played on one honky-tonk piano in my life, and you just get transported to 1927, okay? You're playing for the boys in the war. Hey.
A honky-tonk is a piano?
Yeah.
I thought it was a style of music.
No, I mean, it might be, but no, a honky-tonk piano is this. Have you ever heard Martha, My Dear by the Beatles? That is a honky-tonk piano.
I did not know
I used to know how to play that song. I'm not going to play it because, again, I'm going to get copyright striked. But that intro is a lot of fun to play. But no, it's a honky-tonk. And they were super popular because they were super cheap. They were affordable. And by affordable, I mean not that everyone could own one in their house, but bars could afford it. And you know one thing here's a small history lesson before we get in there. Bars.
It's always dangerous.
Businesses basically were kind of the beginning point of where new kind of inventions started going. So the sports bar was built from the fact that people couldn't afford televisions, but the business of a bar could. So if you wanted to watch the game, you'd go to the bar where they could afford to put a television on the wall, and that's where you watched it. Same with pianos. People couldn't always just afford to have these pianos in their home, but a bar could because it's a business. So then they would have a piano and a piano player. So a lot of time that social gathering place was where kind of new inventions were brought, because it was a business that could afford them. That
almost sounds like it would make sense.
It doesn't. What do you mean almost sounds? What do you mean? You don't believe me? Almost sounds.
Okay, so we're going with the honky-tonk piano today.
Honky-tonk.
Okay. No Country for Old Johns. Lenny Greaves cracked open the door and looked both ways. Seeing the all clear, he slipped out of his room and quietly shut the door behind him. His no-slip socks propelled his emaciated legs silently down the corridor. The things we do for love, he thought. Recent budget cuts had left Pittman Manor's overnight shift with a shortage of staff nurses. The retirement home chose not to trim during the days when most families arrived for visits. So, Lenny glided past the vacant second-floor nurses' station and down a narrow vestibule marked by a red sign with white lettering, "Employees Only." Many maintenance supply closets comprised this section of the East Wing, but was also the go-to place for orderly Ricky DelVecchio to fuck off with little to no oversight and, more importantly, conduct his lucrative side hustles. Lenny found Ricky leaning against a cleaning cart, an unlit hand-rolled cigarette resting between his lips. Each acknowledged the other's presence with a quick nod. Lenny pulled a roll of haggard bills from his robe pocket, and Ricky counted the money before reaching into his own. "You got a half hour, Lenny," Ricky said, pulling out a key and holding it out. "No coming back 45 minutes late like the other day. Got me?" Lenny snatched the key emblazoned with 222 from the man's hand and, without a word, shuffled back the way he came. Loretta DiNardo lived in room 222, the love of Lenny's life since she first moved in 6 months ago and had set eyes on her at bingo night. She was beautiful, funny, and loving. He longed to win her heart and whisk her away from this lifestyle to a modern facility his son kept promising. It wouldn't be long before they shared a room and dined together over something other than olive loaf and a side of steamed okra. Lenny's smile widened as he approached her room. Blood flowed to his groin thanks to the modern medicine. His boner tried poking out between his belly and the elastic of his boxers as he pushed the key into the door.
Oh my God! Ken!
"Honey?" Lenny's call went unanswered as he pushed his way into the one-bedroom suite. The living area was dark and the bedroom door closed, but no light shone from the undercut.
She's dead.
The sliver of illumination came from Lenny's left, where he could make out the bathroom door ajar. He sidestepped the love seat, where he had spent an afternoon the other day, his last paid time with Loretta, talking of their future. He rested his palm on the door and called out again before pushing it open. Lenny gasped and raised a hand to his mouth. Loretta lay bent over the tub, her nightgown pulled up over her hips. Her calves and feet were deep purple, and Lenny crouched down to see her face. Less blood had pooled there. He moved his hand away, and his mouth hung open, air quickly flowing down to expand his lungs. He tried to scream, but nothing came out. Tears rolled down his face, in silence. Damn her habits, and the scum that sells it through these hallways. I warned her, stay with me. I'll protect you. When the scream finally did escape, it brought Lenny to his knees.
Was she raped?
You're going to have to wait to find out. But no.
Okay. You're going to have to wait and see. But no, you're not. Don't worry. Well, the way I imagined it, right? She's bent over into the tub with her dress hiked up over her hips. So it looks like that.
It looks like that. But it's not that.
Oh, thank God. Well, I mean...
Not to give any spoilers, just to de-escalate any triggers or anxiety that may be broiling out there.
Yes. The trigger warning is there's no trigger.
The trigger warning
there's a no trigger warning.
It looks like there's a trigger, but there's not.
Yes. All right. Well, let's keep on going.
Once upon a crime in Jersey. Jawnie McGee, private investigator and current full-time vacationer, sipped her unsweetened tea while waiting for her lunch date. Ned Hasty, recently retired police chief of Elk Township and newly christened PI himself, was running late. They hadn't seen each other in years, despite a long and continuous texting thread. Jawnie's much-deserved vacation coincidentally aligned with Ned's opening of his one-man gumshoe shop. While from Jawnie's perspective, the lunch date was to catch up in person and not through emojis, she soon learned that Ned had an ulterior motive. Wait, this is your first official case, and you want me to delay my trip to the shore for a few days to give you a hand? I could use another set of eyes and ears on these interviews, Ned said with an aw shucks expression on his face. I don't want to miss something and screw up my first paying client. Okay, if I were to agree and we uncover additional evidence, would the police be amenable to reopening the cause of death? Jawnie was not about to miss out on a few days of sun and saltwater taffy, only to find the medical examiner wouldn't stand down from his initial finding of accidental overdose. They're open to it, but they don't have the bodies at the moment to expend the man-hours needed to overturn the coroner's findings. The detective appeared pleased that Lenny Greaves hired me, Ned said with a grin. Said something about the scene didn't sit right with them, but they were told to close it and move on. The fewer names in red on the board, the better. I know all too well about closure rates and budget funding. All right, I'll be your set of unbiased eyes, Jawnie said. Now, what do you know about the scene of the so-called crime? Don't you want to know about Lenny's statement? After all, he's the client. He'll be our first interviewee, or re-interviewee in your case. But I better hear it first time straight from the old man. Then I can compare it to his statement to the police and what he told you. Same goes for the others we come across. Ned gave Jawnie an overview of the scene as indicated in the official report by the responding officers. Loretta DiNardo, age 78, was found deceased on the floor of her bathroom by another resident, Lenny Greaves. She knelt prone over the side of the tub, her knees resting on a pink bath mat. Someone had laid out 2 lines of ketamine powder on the edge of the tub to her left. The ground-up pills, for all appearances, came from an open prescription bottle next to the sink. Pills left in the bottle? Was the script in her name? Jawnie asked. Affirmative on both counts, Ned said. She'd been undergoing doctor-approved ketamine therapy for treatment-resistant depression. Yet the amount needed to kill her was far more than her prescription. Okay, sorry to interrupt, Jawnie said. Ned smiled and continued with the official report. The only other items on the counter were an empty glass of red wine and your expected toiletries. Someone had pushed up the deceased's nightgown over her hips. An empty Mountain Dew Zero dragon fruit, missing the twist-off cap, lay on the floor next to the toilet. It tested positive for liquid ketamine. Any signs of sexual assault? No, and yes. The lipstick on the rim of the glass matched Loretta's, Ned said, reading Jawnie's mind. But here's the kicker. Do you remember those old-time red rubber enema bag concoctions? Oh yeah, Jawnie said with a laugh. I can remember finding one hanging from my grandmother's shower and my mom having to explain to a 12-year-old me. Wait, you're not saying? The cops found the bag end of the contraption still connected to the shower head. And the other end of the red hose? Fully inserted, Ned replied with a wrinkled nose, and the clamp was in the open position. I believe the kids today call it boofing. The drug enters the bloodstream so much faster. Okay, then why the 2 lines if you're intent on an anal chug? Jawnie regretted her words immediately. Ned was a friend and this was business, but she had a professional reputation to uphold. This time, Ned laughed aloud. Kids these days, let's stick with boofing, shall we? Maybe she was expecting or already had company who weren't too keen on the process? Anyway, I should add, my client, Lenny, was the one who found the body and called the authorities. Jawnie's eyebrows raised, and she appeared taken aback. Don't give me that look. He was in love with her and firmly believes this wasn't an accidental overdose or suicide, as the retirement home rumor mill insists. He's full on the murder express, so much so that he came bearing gifts to ready-made suspects, or he wants us to believe. 3, Jawnie said. Her surprised look had faded. Don't put his hiring you as anything other than a possibility to frame the others. The police didn't take the bait, and the accidental overdose threw a wrench into whatever plan he had cooked up, or maybe was trying to hide. I want to talk to him first. See, no rape.
Yes, the boofing makes more sense. I always find it interesting. A lot of those, the way people take drugs are like, it's not that the way you're taking it's going to make it more potent, it's that it's going to happen faster. And I'm like, you have no patience anymore. Kids these days have no patience anymore. They would rather open up their skin and just inject it into themselves than what? Wait half an hour? My guy, can you not wait?
No.
I guess that's how addiction works. But still, I'm just like, wow, you'd rather put it in your ass than, wait.
That's funny when you make it between the choice between the two. Like,
I'm just saying, like, you do have a choice. It's not like you don't. It's not like you're sitting here going, well, it's either through the butt or nothing. You have the choice. Just be patient, guys. Be patient. I find it interesting. That's all. I find it interesting. Anyway. Now, I've heard of boofing. I've had some friends who've done it, and I'm like, why? Why? At a certain point, you have to just like doing it,
I am speechless over
to
here.
To choose to do that, you just have to like doing that.
So many questions, none of which I really want to say out
Now,
loud.
I will say, now that I realize that this is a story about boofing, the earlier comment about, the state the man was in as he was walking in, it's less shocking. It's less shocking, I should say. But ew, Ken, stop making my mom read that to me. Stop.
He's only made me say fuck once, though.
Yeah, that's true. You are very good with your language, Ken. But no, so many authors are like, let's make Jack as uncomfortable as possible in their little recording studio. All right, I'll shut up. Let's keep going.
All right. Good morning, Vietnam. Hey, check this out, Ned said. He held his fist in the air before knocking on the door of room 208. Looks like Lenny might have been in love with Loretta, but he was a friend to all people. Jawnie smiled when she saw the large pink circle sticker affixed to the door below the peephole. She had assumed, with the average age of the residents, Fox News and Newsmax would be the only channels offered in the Pittman Manor cable package. Lenny answered on the third knock and invited the team in after Ned introduced his partner. Their client wore a tattered, loosely tied brown robe and a Vietnam veteran's ball cap. His feet were bare and swollen, like the man's face. Jawnie wondered how long it had been since Lenny had had a decent night's sleep. She spotted white gauze peeking out from under his hat. Her eyes moved across the room as Ned and Lenny exchanged pleasantries. Based on her research last night, Lenny's family had gone with the base model resident room. His room was a small studio apartment. A bed and a standard old person recliner were the only furnishings. A small facility-issued television was mounted to the wall across from the bed, and framed photos of himself with various elderly women filled an entire wall. The bathroom door was open, and Jawnie noticed a single razor blade, electric shaver, toothbrush, and paste on the counter. Lifelong bachelor, Jawnie thought. She turned back and noticed Lenny staring through her and thought it was a good time to break the ice. I saw the sticker on your door. It's a very welcome sight to us in the LGBTQ+ community, and thank you for your service. Lenny rolled his eyes and collapsed into the recliner while Jawnie and Ned leaned against the wall under the photographs. Don't read into it, sweetie. It's the property manager's passive-aggressive way of shaming residents who are late in paying their monthly residency fees. My son assured me the check cleared and someone from maintenance should be along any day to scrape it off. Oh. Jawnie's gazed flatly at Ned with pursed lips and a distinctly unimpressed expression. Ned sensed the sudden uptick in tension and asked if Lenny could go over again what happened the night he found Loretta, for Jawnie's benefit. He noticed a tear forming in the old man's eye as soon as Ned spoke her name. Lenny sucked the loose snot in his nose with all of his might before returning to that fateful night. My sweetie and I had plans to meet up that evening a little after 10 o'clock. She had given me an extra key so I could let myself into her room and be surprised. Lenny winked, and his top turned upward. Please keep that to yourself. Loretta would create these little scenarios for me to walk in on and be surprised. That day, the pharmacy had renewed my Cialis, and we planned to play nurse and cuddle. I loved her. Lenny stopped as tears streamed. Jawnie pulled a tissue from her bag and handed it to Lenny. He wiped his eyes and smiled at her. Can I interest you in some zucchini from our little garden? I can't eat all this. Lenny stood and retrieved a plastic Home Depot bag from the wastepaper basket next to the door. He handed the bag, now full with 4 large green zucchinis, to Jawnie before she could decline. Her first thought was that Lenny intended to change the subject. We appreciate your generosity, but can we return to the moment you found Loretta? Ned said. I mean, there's not much to it. I let myself in and I found her in the bathroom. Everything after that is hazy. Lenny's hand moved up to the right side of his forehead and gently tapped the gauze. I must have passed out and bashed my head on the corner of the sink or the toilet. My doctor says the bump might be the cause of some of my forgetting. Could also be a mental thing, finding my sweetheart like that. She and I were supposed to leave this place. My son promised he'd get us a place together at Arbor House at Windmere. Jawnie looked at Ned and raised her eyebrows, questioned Lenny's convenient loss of memory for the various forms of ketamine littering the bathroom. Yet he was proud to toss out his boner pill renewal and a life together at the most expensive rest home in South Jersey. She confronted the issue head-on, sure he was hiding something. What can you tell me about the soda bottle found on the floor by the body? I mean, Loretta. She was diabetic. Somebody else must have left it behind. Police, maintenance, a visitor. Lenny's voice turned from mourning to one level below anger. How the hell am I supposed to know? She never drank soda. But the police forensic team said it tested positive for liquid ketamine, and she was undergoing some treatment for depression, Jawnie said, not backing down. My girl would never. She wasn't depressed, no matter what anyone says. As Lenny's voice rose, he stood up and retrieved the picture of Loretta from his nightstand before returning to the recliner. We were happy together, counting down the days until we ran away from all of this. Mountain Dew Zero Dragon Fruit is pretty niche, Ned said as he watched Lenny slowly trace his index finger around the outside of the black frame. Lenny then unconsciously reached and tapped the gauze again before returning his hand to the picture frame. The only loser who drinks that here is Ricky DelVecchio, the goddamn night janitor, orderly, whatever you want to call him. Kid thinks he runs the place. I took down bigger pieces of shit than him and Nam. Is that why you called 911 and not someone here at the facility? Not on staff? Ned asked. No, I don't trust anyone on the night shift. Grifters, the lot of them. Jawnie jotted down Lenny's lack of trust in those who were supposed to keep watch over the wing as the residents slept. He had grown agitated with each question, and she wondered how long before he shut down. She asked about the other resident he claimed had a role in Loretta's death. You also mentioned a woman on this floor named Bernice Kowalski to Ned when you came to his office. Do you have any idea why another resident would have it out for Loretta? Bad blood between the two? Green-eyed monster. Bernice was the second-floor it girl until Loretta moved in. Her popularity waned. The big issue was that Loretta caught feelings for me. Bernice didn't like competition. Lenny grinned for the first time since Ned and Jawnie arrived. Jawnie jotted down the jealousy angle and Lenny's self-reputation as the floor's Don Juan. The rest of Lenny's recollections didn't move the needle for either investigator. The old man grew more disconcerted and began to speak in non sequiturs. Tired or evasive? Jawnie couldn't decide which. She nudged Ned, and they soon excused themselves. On the way back to the elevator, Jawnie examined the produce haul. "These are pretty big. All seeds, I bet," she said. "I think he pawned his trash off on me. Oh, speaking of this, the receipt is still in the bag." She straightened out the crumpled paper. "He made a key, picked up light bulbs, and a bottle of glue. I guess that's a big day out when you live here." She laughed and pushed the button down. Ned said nothing but raised his eyebrows, and his smile gave it away.
He made a key?
He made a key.
And he had a key to get into the apartment building? Not the apartment building, into the room?
Loretta's room.
Interesting, folks. Interesting. Take note of this.
"We should swing by the security office on the way out. The chief here, Siobhan Callahan, was an ex-Philly cop. She should be able to give some insight to Bernice and Ricky." You interrupted me like 2 lines before the end of that chapter.
I'm sorry.
He messed with me, guys. He messed with me. Yeah, so the scene opened with Lenny paying Ricky for the key to Loretta's room. But then here he says, and when he was talking to Ned and Jawnie, he said he had a key to her room.
But he said that he was given the key from Loretta.
He did say that.
Despite the fact that we know that he got it not from Loretta.
Well, I mean, the receipt says he made a key. I guess we don't know.
But I thought he said that we also know that he got the key from who was the night man?
Ricky DelVecchio.
Ricky. I keep wanting to say Denny for some reason.
Wow,
I'm just
really?
hungry.
It's like not even close.
What do you mean? There's an E at the end.
There is an E at the end.
A Y.
Oh, Y. That sounds like
Or it could be DENNIE and RICKIE. Ricky. All right. Well,
shoot.
It's not that though, so I'm gonna shut up and keep playing piano.
Yeah, and the title of the next thing I don't know how to say, so that's awesome.
The Maltese. Wait, what is that?
See? Hold on.
Shilal.
Is that how you say it?
SHIL. Wait, spell it. I'm not looking at the screen.
SHILLELAGH.
Is that Sheila?
No, I know what it is.
Chile.
I looked it up.
Chilean?
It's like a.
Oh, it's an object.
Yes, it's an object.
But it's Maltese. I don't even fully know what Maltese is. I just think it's part of a dog,
something from
right?
Malta. It's something from the country of Malta.
So the Maltese dog thing is just a dog from Malta.
Yes.
Oh, guys, I didn't know that. There's a country named Malta?
Yes.
I should do more geography homework.
Okay. So, however you say this word, it is a traditional Irish walking stick and club.
Wait, so it's a traditional Irish thing from Malta?
No, Maltese.
No. But the title is the Maltese walking stick.
Yes, it's a take on the Maltese Falcon, which is a classic case.
I think it's probably pronounced Chile.
Oh, we're gonna get so many. That's not the way you say it, Jack.
Whatever. Hey, the good thing about this podcast is we don't really have a place for people to comment.
This phonetic spelling says it's shillelagh. Like
shillelagh.
The Maltese, emphasis is in the middle.
The Maltese shillelagh. Interesting.
Okay.
Well,
now we can start.
Now we can start. We won't get yelled at by our audience members, even though they can't yell at us. We should really figure out a way to let them yell at us.
You can put that on your list for things to do after you graduate.
Maybe. Okay, I tell you what, folks. Every single episode, we come out with a companion post to announce that the episode is coming out or that it is out. Which one do we do? I don't fully remember.
That it's out.
That it is out. So, folks, if you have comments about our podcast, head over to Facebook. Don't we have one on Instagram?
We do.
Kind of.
We do. And YouTube.
Oh, you can. We don't really check YouTube. I'm so sorry to our YouTube listeners. We don't love you. But if you want us to see it, I'm sorry. But if you're on YouTube, just go over to Facebook, go over to our Facebook account and leave a comment. And we would love to read it. And I promise you, I will bother to go look.
You're not winning us any prizes.
I think I am. I think our listeners are like, look at Jack. He's so considerate. After 5 years of this podcast, 6 years of this podcast, he's finally giving us a way to tell him he's terrible. Really, I was protecting
the Maltese shillelagh.
There's a reason you can't contact me.
They found Callahan, Shiv to her old friends on the force, eating lunch in her small office. Ned Hasty, Elk Township's finest. I heard you were on the grounds. What can a small-scale head of security do to help a chief of police? Nice to meet you too, Shiv. I'm retired, though. Going the PI route, and this is my partner, Jawnie McGee. Squeeze in. Grab an extra chair from out by the reception. Shiv Callahan was a tough Irish ex-cop from South Philly who, rumor had it, left the force under cloudy circumstances. She was larger than the small chair she occupied, and Jawnie straightaway recognized a fellow sapist. Shiv wore her natural red locks shorn high and tight on the sides, with the top longer and styled straight back. Once they were all seated, Shiv rewrapped her sandwich and put in the top right drawer for later. So, Shiv, a client hired us to look into the death of Loretta DiNardo, Ned said. Not really at liberty to say whom, but we're walking by and saw your door open and light on. Figured we'd stop by and pick your brain if you don't mind. Shiv sat up straight and blinked. So, some lovelorn shitstain here thinks he knows better than the trained law enforcement investigators? Shiv said. She shook her head. Shoot away. I've got nothing but time. I guess our client isn't so anonymous, Jawnie said. Only one old coot around here been crying since they wheeled the body out of here. Lenny cried murder to anyone willing to listen or in a comatose state. The guy's creepy as fuck, always doting over some new female residents. You see his photo wall? But dangerous? No, just desperate. Once the ladies get the inside skinny on Lenny, he moves on to the next clueless one with his tired lover boy shtick. I'm not sure who this Lenny you refer to is, said Ned with a wink, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on Bernice Kowalski and what type of relationship she had with the deceased. At the mention of Bernice's name, the muscles in Shiv's neck tightened and were clear from the other side of the desk. Look, Ned, you confuse me for orderly or anyone else on staff who has interactions with the residents. My job is to keep the breakouts to a minimum and the break-ins to even less. We don't even have a problem with dementia-inspired thefts. Shiv shifted in her chair and reached for her soda. But you don't want to hear about that. You came for the juicy stuff. Juicy, with or without pulp. I'll take whatever you can in professional capacity, of course. Ned, I always heard good things about you over in Elk Township. I'll tell you what. Close that door behind you, and we'll go off the record. Jawnie was out of her chair before Ned could even think about getting up. I'm not claiming to be a Philly police commissioner in this job. It is what it is. Not too much to it other than dealing with angry grown children who call wondering how dear old mom or dad tested positive for chlamydia. I know they fuck like bunnies up there. Shit, some are even using it to pay the rent, so to speak. Things were uneventful until Loretta OD'd, and now Lenny is afraid someone offed his favorite working girl. Prostitution? Ned scooched his chair closer, and Jawnie leaned in, not believing what came out of the ex-cop's mouth. Surely you're pulling our legs. I like to think of it as a side hustle, a way to afford the little luxuries not included in the plan the kids signed them up for. But you're wrong about Bernice, Shiv said and sat back in her chair. She was bottom bitch here until Loretta showed up. It's amazing what a few more tricks of the trade will do for a gal. Jealousy? Sure. Who isn't pissed when someone takes cash out of your pocket? But she's still doing all right. Murder? Not on your life. Bottom bitch, Ned said. I'm not familiar with that one. Sorry, that's a technical term for the pimp's top whore. I'm not saying that with better representation, Bernice couldn't have stayed number one. Teach an old dog new tricks. Am I right? So you've got no issues with prostitution ring being running off the second floor? As an ex-cop, Ned said. Nobody gets hurt. Well, until now. But with the joys of modern medicine, it's better to control than police. The doctors distribute boner pills like they're Tic Tacs here, without concern of the repercussions. I'm just trying to maintain the status quo. Holy shit, Jawnie said. You're Bunny Colvin, and this place is Hamsterdam? Jawnie said, the astonishment in her voice clear. Always nice to meet another connoisseur of the wave, Shiv said with a smile. 20, 30 years ago, this job was different. No one at their ages was getting up for anything except breakfast. Shiv threw her head back and laughed aloud. Again, off the record, you didn't hear it from old Shiv. You should look at the greasy orderly on the night shift. A ward by the name of DelVecchio. But if you'll excuse me, lunch is almost over and the rest of this hoagie won't eat itself. Shiv pulled the sandwich from her desk. One more for the road, if you don't mind, Ned said, pushed his chair back. Loretta's cause of death. The residents here use how much ketamine? Is it prescribed like the ED meds you mentioned earlier? The treatment is relatively new to the facility. Our new shrink, Joanna Winterberg, has begun ketamine therapy with many of our residents. There's actually a waiting list to see her. Rumor is, those who can't get it through the front door seek other methods. The back door, Jawnie said, and she regretted the words as they spilled from her lips.
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen the photos of Loretta bent over the tub, Shiv said with a wide grin. What I meant to say was that a portion of Pittman Manor's supply, both the pill and liquid form, went missing from Dr. Winterberg's office within the past month. Most likely it hit the black market, but someone could also have ferried it out of the building for sales to the outside world. My people are looking into it, although we've made no progress to date on identifying a thief or motive. I bet you aren't in any hurry, Jawnie thought. Why would anyone else have access to those drugs, like Ricky DelVecchio? Ned said. He might not have direct access, you understand, but it wouldn't surprise me through the old barter system if he was trading for some of those stolen drugs. He might also bring stuff in that the residents can't get on their own or afford. The kid's been known to nod off from time to time on the job, if you get my drift. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll reach out if we have further questions, Ned said, and Jawnie stood up and shuffled to the door. Shiv nodded and inhaled a large bite without looking up. Neither partner spoke until they were well past the front door and halfway across the parking lot. Well, that was more than expected, Jawnie said. I'm going to have a drink and try to sort through the mess. You didn't notice the Porsche key fob on the desk, Ned said. Pretty hefty payment for someone who left the force without a pension and can't make much here. I did not, Jawnie said with a smirk, but I'm betting you didn't glimpse her bag on the floor leaning against the desk. Let me guess. Designer? Prada. A large leather bag with a studded belt. Very butch, but it fits the profile. $8,000. Easy. Sounds like somebody's getting kickbacks and maybe wanted to frame the middleman and get rid of the new bottom bitch. Ned's eyebrows raised with each word. Install her own patsy up there. Move up the yin-yang. That seals it. Ricky DelVecchio is next. He might have had keys to Winterberg's office. Shiv and Lenny both point the finger in his direction. Or away from themselves. Jawnie smirked and reached for the car door handle.
That's so much fun. So much fun. Anyway, how are you enjoying the story so far? I mean, you've read this before.
You know, it's been a long time since I read it,
Yeah.
and there were a number of words like the shillelagh that I had fled to like practice ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you all were listening to episode 5, we had a little bit of a oops there with our recording, and so Jack and I were fixing that, and so I didn't get to do my normal prep work.
Yes.
So apologize for butchering the Irish words.
I won't apologize. You did it.
I did do it. I totally did it.
You should have said apologies.
Apologies.
Yes. Apologize is the command. Apologize for the thing I did.
Oh, apologies for my not doing my research and practicing the words 20 times.
I got to be honest, folks. You don't have the privilege of seeing her try to pronounce words before we start an episode. It is a beautiful thing. It's quite funny. It's just sitting there with Google and just Shalili. Okay. Yeah. 20 minutes of that.
It's
even worse for some of the ones where like this episode's got a lot of Russian in it, and then you're just sitting there like, oh my God. It's quite entertaining.
He does get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's only entertaining
and
for
then
me,
I
of
still
course.
get some of them very wrong.
Well, then, you practice it, even if it's right before the recording, and then you have to say it for the first time 45 minutes later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of time, but...
All right. Are you ready for Dial M for maintenance?
Gotta love a good movie reference.
Actually, all of these are movie references. Look at these titles.
Oh.
No Country for Old Johns, Once About a Crime in Jersey, Good Morning Vietnam.
How did I not notice that?
I don't know how you
Wait,
didn't
what was
know.
the Shillelagh one? Oh, was
the
that?
The Maltese Falcon. The Maltese Shillelagh.
Oh, you did say it's a reference of that, and I totally ignored it.
Well, I called it the book, but it was also a movie. Okay.
Well, I think most of these were books as well. I'm pretty sure. Wait, no. I lied. Ignore me.
Okay.
Let's go.
Dial M for maintenance. Here he comes, Ned said and put the binoculars down on the center console. He and Jawnie had parked in the employee lot as the sun rose over the horizon to catch the night shift as they stumbled out of the building, half asleep. Got him. Same jacket as in his driver's license photo, Jawnie said. She pointed at the man walking down the sidewalk in the black windbreaker. Ricky of the DelVecchio moved off the sidewalk and toward the far end of the lot. He hadn't bothered changing out of his maroon scrubs, but wore blue aviator sunglasses and a head of hair that would have made Vinnie Barbarino jealous. Jawnie opened the door and Ned followed. Mr. DelVecchio, can we have a minute of your time? Jawnie said as they approached. DelVecchio looked back over his shoulder and shifted into overdrive. He was over the curb and onto the grass before Ned realized the man thought they were the police. Yo, not cops, he said. And who the fuck are you? DelVecchio said. He had stopped running, turned around, and readjusted his sunglasses. I didn't do nothing. We're just a couple of private investigators wanting to ask a few questions, Jawnie said. Nothing more. Can we buy you breakfast? 20 minutes later, the trio slid into the last open booth at the 5 Points Diner. The men sat across from each other, and Jawnie strategically settled in next to DelVecchio. This way, it wouldn't look like an interrogation. And, if he got antsy, he'd have to climb over her. Once the server brought 2 coffees and 1 oolong tea, the promised questioning started. Well, I guess then congratulations are in order, I think, Ned said. DelVecchio had told the pair that his previous shift was his last. He had quit on the spot as he clocked out. Thanks. Something I thought long and hard about, but another opportunity has come along, and I didn't want to give the traditional 2 weeks and let Shiv come up with a way to figure out how to fuck me over. DelVecchio reached for the sugar packets, and his hand went wide right. Looks like he's focusing with all he's got on those motor skills, Jawnie thought. Good thing he didn't drive home. Maybe a little celebratory action with his co-workers before walking out one last time? And there he goes again. Strike 2. 3rd time's a charm, buddy. Got a better gig lined up? Jawnie said. She figured anything would be better than mopping up after incontinent elderly swingers. Starting up a OnlyFans page. A subscription site with the lady I met on the job. Grannies are no stepmoms, but I researched the niche. A small sliver of current content, but the monthly subscription rate is among the highest among... A small sliver of current content, but the monthly subscription rate is the highest among the top 25 categories. Gonna make bank and not have to kick any up the chain. DelVecchio held up his hand. Wrong again, Jawnie thought as she reluctantly raised hers so as not to leave the man hanging. You can't keep raising menu prices and then expect the Johns to continue to pay. Families get curious when Grandpa keeps calling for money and they don't see any new furniture or knickknacks in the room. That dumb dyke is only raising suspicion with each increase. Could have ruined the whole gig. Horse payment. Check, Jawnie thought. Ricky, you worked on the 2nd floor. What can you tell us about the dynamics there? Could something have driven Loretta DiNardo to suicide? Worse, Ned said. He picked up his pen open. He clicked his pen open, itching to take notes. You guys buying the same line of bullshit the cops did? DelVecchio laughed. That old broad had everything going for her. Well, almost. We're well aware of the prostitution ring in your role, Jawnie said. I thought you said you weren't cops, DelVecchio said. He braced his hands on the table as if he were ready to leap over Jawnie and run out of the diner. We're not, Ned said. Couldn't care less about your previous role. Jawnie knew it was a lie, but when they needed the man to believe. She nodded in Ned's direction before he continued. If Loretta was murdered, we only want to determine who was responsible. Easy peasy, my man. Have you checked out the White Knight? How about the previous winner of the top floor second earner award for 2 straight years? One at a time, Ricky, Jawnie said. By the White Knight, I can only assume you mean Lenny Greaves. We've heard of his affection for Loretta. Affection? More like obsession. Lenny wanted to save her from this life of sin and take her away. She wanted no part of it, but if he's willing to pay every time, she was more than happy to play along. Hell, he paid for half an hour the night she died. He gave me the cash, I gave him the key to her room. That's how I do it. Money before access. No moolah, no entry. So much for lovebird swapping keys, Jawnie thought. What if the scene was staged? Did the murderer overdo it? Pills, an enema bag, and lines laid out for a suicide? If so, they didn't do their drug user homework. Who might have paid for an hour prior to Lenny and gotten a key from Ricky? The old guy also claimed to hate her habit and what it evolved into, if you know what I mean. Gave her an ultimatum the day before she died, or so the rumor mill said. DelVecchio leaned back in the booth and sipped his coffee. Habit? You mean ketamine? Ned said. Speaking of which, we hear there's some missing from Dr. Winterberg's office. Wow, you guys knows a lot about the place. Part of the job, Ricky, Jawnie said. Have you got keys to the staff offices? Me? I handed all my stuff in when I left. I had access only to the supply and maintenance closets. Offices were above my pay grade. Might want to ask security about master keys. Hell, most of those guards wouldn't know if their keys were missing for an afternoon or not. Too busy making sure they got exactly what they wanted off the menu, especially on paydays. He winked and sipped again. But as to Loretta's love of the stuff, check with the person who got her hooked, Bernice Kowalski. Wait, you have access to the supply closet? Ned said with a grin. The police stated that no record exists of Pittman Manor employee issuing Loretta an enema bag. If someone had, it would have been tracked in their system by barcode on the box, but that never happened. And you just admitted to having a key to that door. Look, people ask for free shit all the time, DelVecchio said. I haggle. Losses don't get reported unless the dollar value is over $25. So she wanted an enema bag. We made a deal and she put those dentures to good use. Sex is the only currency that accomplishes anything in that dump. Bile rocketed up Jawnie's esophagus as the visual her brain constructed. She gagged and then moved the conversation with Ricky back to the scene at Pittman Manor shortly after Loretta moved in. Thick as thieves, those two, Bernice and Loretta. Party Central, they called their end of the hallway. But Loretta couldn't stop. She wouldn't stop. The more the drugs flowed, the more Loretta was open to anything. Her bookings skyrocketed while Bernice's bottomed out. No kink shaming here, but Bernice couldn't keep up, financially or physically. Some people can't handle the dimming spotlight. You've mentioned Loretta's increasing love of ketamine, Jawnie said. I don't see a shrink increasing her dosage consistently to keep up with the patient's wants. Or is that part of the side hustle? Winterberg? No, she's one of the few here who care, DelVecchio said. Don't concern yourself with her. But kickbacks aren't the only way people hustle. There's a thriving black market. You'd be surprised at what a resident can get for the right price or piece. And there isn't an occupant on that floor who wasn't snorting something. That place isn't any better than prison. And it's employees in both places who bring the shit in? Jawnie shook her head and kept the thought to herself. Bernice couldn't keep up. Wouldn't swing the other way even to try, DelVecchio said and raised his cup for a refill. I heard Loretta was hooking up in the security offices to keep her far away from the withdrawals. Crushing and snorting pills became a thing of the past. She needed the good stuff. Concentrate. Boofing was the new toot, and the gaps in pay and friendship widened. The rest of the conversation covered nothing the partners hadn't already heard. DelVecchio stayed behind and had another cup of coffee before heading home. Jawnie and Ned wished him luck on his new venture as they got up and walked out the diner, but not before taking care of the bill. Man, that is some side hustle these folks got going on, Ned said as they walked to the car. I need to come up with some work-from-home gimmick. I might have to reconsider selling feet pics, Jawnie said with a laugh. But yeah, jealousy on multiple fronts with this case, the oldest motive. That guy was a wealth of info, but don't let it get past you that he quit. Nothing like fucking over the person who is taking more and more money out of your pocket as you walk away. The last laugh, Jawnie said. That's maybe the oldest motive in history.
Well, and right in time for the dogs all to go crazy. I don't know if you folks can hear that. Luckily, we have some filters on our microphones that hopefully take that off. But if you can hear it, just know we hear it too. We hear it too. We hear it every day. It used to be worse. I remember like in the first couple seasons of this, there was always, oh, the dogs are barking. We're sorry. Recently, it hasn't happened as much.
No, it hasn't. And we are upstairs behind a closed door. So hopefully between all of that and the filters and and you have better microphones that are better at filtering out.
They used to bark like 15 feet away from us. Now we're at least separated a bit more. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So from that, I'm slightly wondering if boofing does make it more potent. Because there was a line in there, I don't remember what the line was, that made me think.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong. It's not like I know a lot about it.
I'm glad to know you don't know much about it.
Yes. I'm making sure it's very clear to all audience members and my mother that I don't know a lot about this.
And I don't know a lot about it.
Ignorance is bliss in this case. Ignorance towards all of this. Anyway, I'm learning a lot as we go along here. Yeah, Ken always teaches us about interesting things. He's always like, did you know about this new way to take drugs? This new way that you can kill yourself? I don't know. It's very educational. You got to give him that. Yeah, highly educational and things I was happy to be ignorant in. But we're smarter for it.
Arthritic instinct. The next day found the team back at Pittman Manor. No one answered Ned's knock, and he looked at Jawnie. Are you surprised Bernice's room is so damn close to Lenny's and Loretta's? After those crime scene photos and our meeting with Shiv, nothing about this place surprises me, Jawnie said. Ned raised his knuckles to try again when the elevator at the end of the hall chimed. Both turned and looked. The doors separated, and an elderly woman exited, a very large yellow tote bag over her shoulder, and a Mountain Dew Zero dragon fruit in her hand. Bernice Kowalski, Jawnie said as the woman approached. The woman dressed in a shimmering silver dress that stopped an inch short of mid-thigh. Her hair was straight and combined with large black sunglasses, gave off an Anna Wintour vibe to Jawnie. A lanyard with a few keys hung from her neck. You keep staring good looking, and I'm going to need a credit card on file, the woman said. An unlit cigarette dangled from her lips. But I'm not buying whatever you're selling. Didn't you see the no soliciting sign at the front desk? That goes for some wacky African voodoo religion too, sister. I'm not any sort of salesman, Jawnie said as she introduced herself and Ned and the reason for their visit. As long as you're not cops, come on in, Bernice said. And you have to tell me if you are. She unlocked the door and then ushered them in. Jawnie noticed right off the bat the difference in Bernice's room as opposed to Lenny's studio-esque model. The open door on her left led to a bedroom. The lack of any others led her to believe that the room came with an ensuite. The living area was enormous and contained a complete set of furniture, a couch, a love seat, matching recliner, and end tables. Ned and Jawnie deposited themselves on the love seat, and Bernice sank into the recliner, where her skirt rode too far up. Ned shivered at the sight and made the point of keeping his eyes up. "Forgive my disheveled appearance. I'm returning from a content shoot over at a friend's place." The unlit cigarette stayed and bounced up and down with each word Bernice spoke. "Gonna make way more bank than I ever did here." She reached deep into the tote bag at her feet and pulled out a pill bottle. She dropped 3 onto the side table to her right and crushed them with the bottom of a rocks glass before chopping out 3 lines. "What kind of host am I? Can I offer you either of you a bump?" Ned and Jawnie both shook their heads in the negative. "Well, don't mind me then." Bernice hoovered up one rail of the white substances both guests could only assume was ketamine. Once done, she pushed the table away and stared straight through the love seat. "Bernice?" "Hello?" Jawnie said. She snapped her fingers and then a second time before Bernice rejoined the group. "So you want to talk about Loretta? I could speak for days about that bitch." "We'd settle for your relationship with her," Ned said and leaned forward on the love seat. "Well, we were best friends after she moved in. Who do you think showed her the ropes when she couldn't afford the silver tier dining plan? Shit, she came around fast. Book a date with both of us and it was a lot more than just twice the price. But it's all dog shit over the rainbow now." "Water under the bridge?" Jawnie said. "Whatever, I got a new opportunity, and I wish her nothing but the best." "She's dead." Jawnie's eyes rolled hard. "Oh, yeah, forgot about that," Bernice said, and then did a quick sign of the cross. "We had thought about taking the show on the road and hitting different retirement home every couple of years and taking the marks for all they had before moving on. That was until Lenny started booking her. All these stupid ideas in her head I knew weren't true." "How did you know?" Ned said. "Hell, he promised the exact shit to me. Just look at the old fool. His clothes, his car, he ain't got shit other than that monthly check. And the promises of his son throwing money to back up his promises? Heard that before, and Lenny's still here wearing the same rags. And I'm still alive. Take that how you will," Bernice said before snorting another line. 2 down, 1 to go, Jawnie thought. Will she talk about the spiders on the wall next? "So, Bernice, no love lost between you, Loretta, and Lenny," Jawnie said. "What can you tell me about the former floor orderly, Ricky DelVecchio? Did he ever pressure you to do something you didn't want to and retaliate? Maybe physically?" Jawnie wanted to hear about any time DelVecchio might have gotten rough with any of the girls working under him and Shiv. "Ricky is a lovely boy," Bernice said. She looked down at the remaining rail and bit her bottom lip. "It's thanks to him that I'm not having to sling my cooter around these parts anymore. I mean, don't misunderstand, I got my regulars, but with this new income stream, Ricky says I can afford to be a lot pickier." She smiled at Ned and slowly uncrossed and recrossed her legs. "But Ricky, when he was here, he was a great whoremongerer. Looked out for us when some of the Viagra-fueled Johns wanted more time than they got reserved or got too handsy." "How were he and Loretta?" Ned asked, still having trouble getting the Sharon Stone moment out of his head and needing to move the conversation along. "Partners. Business partners, you know. Round here you hear things. Shiv was coming down hard on Ricky because Loretta was taking clients on the side and not cutting her, Ricky, in on it. Dumb bitch. Never piss off the dyke. That's the strict rule and one I tried a half dozen times to explain to her, but she was all like, 'What are they gonna do to me?'" Bernice held up a finger to the side of her nose and lowered her head. She sat upright before handling her business. "And I don't care what you hear in these hallways. Ricky always planned for me to work with him when he quit. People may tell you Loretta was his first choice, but don't listen. I'm the one gonna blow up the internet now." Speaking of old Shiv, same old chatty Cathy's claims she wasn't thrilled Ricky was going out on his own and not cutting her in on the action. Probably still, even though the OF talent had changed. A bell went off in Jawnie's head, and she put that nugget away for later. She wanted to continue on with the ex-cop. Ripping off the head of security with a nickname like Shiv doesn't seem to be a smart move. Oh, Shiv can take care of herself. Been running these halls since the year before I moved in. She gets a piece of all the action. That's why Ricky quit. When word got out about his new hustle, Shiv wasn't happy. It went double for Loretta when she was rumored to be his partner. That's hearsay. I'm the one filming, not her. Bernice ain't nobody's second choice. The woman leaned over and cleaned the last line off the table before lurching back and shaking her head. Pretty sad Shiv's the head of security and the only thing secure is her bank account. The lady isn't one when things don't go her way or she ain't given what she perceives as owed. Bernice inhaled deep and rubbed her nostrils. She paused for about 15 seconds before continuing. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Lenny started booking Loretta and her theme nights, or his money did. Neither of us loved the old fool, but Loretta was the better actor. He made her the same unfulfilled promises. I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed when I lost a good portion of his monthly check. Did Loretta throw that back in my face? Sure, but we don't king shame here. With her queen bee attitude, it was only a matter of time before she pissed off someone and I regained my throne. Not that it matters anymore, but when history is written... Jawnie and Ned could only watch as Bernice's head snapped back and she nodded off mid-sentence. With her legs spread, dress riding up, and the snoring growing louder, Ned and Jawnie looked at each other, shrugged, and let themselves out.
Yay, Sharon Stone. That was not imagery we needed either, Ken. Okay? Not only did the characters not need it, we didn't need elderly Sharon Stone. We didn't need Primal Instinct. Is it Primal Instinct? Not Primal. Basic Instinct. Basic Instinct. We didn't need that.
And we're at the deliberation.
We are.
So Jawnie's vacation is starting out rough. She needs our help to make sure Ned gets to the bottom of Loretta's death so that she can get to the Jersey Shore.
The Georgie Shore?
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
What do you know?
Here are the names in her suspect list in the order we have met them.
And here are the nominees.
Lenny Greaves, the client, the Romeo, the horndog.
Yeah, the key thing for me is what magnetizes me to him. I don't like that I use the word magnetize.
I don't either.
All right, well.
Ricky DelVecchio, the orderly, the janitor, the pimp.
He didn't do it.
Siobhan Shiv Callahan, the disgraced cop, the head of security, the crime boss.
She's interesting. She's fun.
Bernice Kowalski, the former BFF, the hooker, the OnlyFans star.
Now I see some potential with her as well.
All right, so here is what everyone is telling Jawnie and Ned.
Okay.
Loretta DiNardo was a ketamine addict and a prostitute.
Yes, she
She was found dead, kneeling over a bathtub with her dress flipped up. Equipment for an enema was found with her, as were lines of ketamine and an empty Mountain Dew Zero Dragon bottle with trace ketamine.
Yes.
Loretta's prints were on the bottle.
Loretta's prints. So she had been the one using it.
Well, that's the implication.
We assume.
Ricky DelVecchio had a key for Loretta's room for customers. Lenny told Jawnie and Ned that he had a key Loretta had made for him.
In reality, he made it for himself.
Does seem that way.
Okay.
Lenny claims that he loved Loretta and they plan to leave Pittman Manor. He is convinced that someone killed her and is pointing at DelVecchio and Bernice.
So for me, it's two possibilities. Either he made the key to get into the room to do this, or he is just that delusional. Because he clearly has some delusion that all these prostitutes are in love with him and that he is going to take them away from this life. But so did he make that key just as part of that delusion, or did he make that key to commit the crime?
Bernice was the best friend that introduced Loretta to hooking and ketamine. Loretta became popular, cutting into Bernice's clients. Bernice admits this, but has pivoted to working for Ricky's new venture on OnlyFans.
Now, this didn't seem to be a event. Well, no, I guess it was. Ignore me. I was going to say this doesn't seem to be a venture that occurred before her death, but it did because people assumed Loretta was going to be the person, which means she was alive for that.
Correct.
But it's not something that enacted until after she died. Which, why would you kill her right before leaving the whole situation?
I don't have an answer for
Yeah,
that.
why would you kill her right before you say, all right, we're leaving this prostitution game, we're going to switch to OnlyFans? That doesn't quite make sense, especially if you consider her to be competition, which is what she was to Bernice, even though she had some jealousy. But I don't think that was enough for her to commit murder. That seems odd.
So Ricky DelVecchio ran operations on the second floor, including whoremongering for Loretta and Bernice. He was under pressure from Shiv for Loretta working on the side and not paying their share. Ricky figured out a better hustle and quit Pittman Manor to work OnlyFans, taking Bernice with him. Figuratively, not literally, she still lives in Pittman Manor.
Yes, she still lives there, even though she has switched locations, which that would bring the heat less on Loretta and more on the two of them from Shiv, right?
Say that again.
Shiv's anger in this situation wouldn't be targeted towards Loretta. Although, didn't she originally think Loretta was going to be a part of the OnlyFans thing?
That's what Bernice led them to think, saying,
So
if you heard rumors about that, it's not true.
Bernice makes the implication that Shiv could have thought or did think that Loretta was going to be the one switching to OnlyFans. So maybe this was an anger play, saying, you can't leave, look, I killed your person. Take that, Ricky.
I don't know.
But I don't think it would be that, right?
The thing is that Shiv doesn't really strike me as the kind of person who would do anything herself. So she would have had Ricky do it, but
that's true. But he didn't need to do that.
And
She wouldn't have had in this situation. She wouldn't have had Ricky do it if she's mad at Ricky for leaving. Then she would have done it herself, right?
I guess.
But you're right. She does seem more as the overseer. I'm sorry. Keep going with the clues.
Shiv is the boss at Pittman Manor, taking her share of everything that goes down. She knows about Loretta's side extras and Ricky's big ideas, and she doesn't like any of it.
Yeah, so that again proves that if she was the one to take action against this, she would not recruit Ricky to do that, because Loretta, Ricky would be against that action.
Yeah, it seems like there would be another character.
Yeah.
Bernice, Ricky, and Shiv call bullshit on Lenny's rose-painted picture. They say he was obsessed with Loretta, just like he had been with each of the ladies pictured on his wall, including Bernice. Lenny talked about taking Loretta away, but Ricky said she wasn't interested. Lenny also wanted her to clean up her ketamine habit or else, but again, she wasn't interested.
So with that, Bernice kind of suggested that that Loretta was falling for all the things that Lenny was telling her, right? That he's told this to a bunch of other people. Bernice seemed to think that Loretta was kind of actually into it.
But Ricky said she wasn't.
But Ricky said, so there's that contradiction.
Yeah.
But is that contradiction real, or am I misinterpreting this? That's the real question.
It's what we really read, that Ricky said that, I got the names mixed up for a second, that Loretta was, in it for the money and the drugs, and that she was willing to take Lenny's and, pretend.
And that I completely...
Bernice did say that Loretta was the better actor.
Loretta was the better actor. Yeah, I feel like there was a line in there somewhere that, at least to me, suggested that she wasn't fully lying. But you're right. If she said that she's the better actor, that would more imply that she isn't actually into it, and she's just pretending to be for the money.
Shiv reported that ketamine was stolen from the doctor's office. She and Ricky said it could have entered the Pittman Manor black market or been moved off property.
So both of them are kind of claiming that they are not the ones who put the ketamine in that place. Both of them are kind of saying, well, these are the ways that it could have entered, the system.
They're also saying that they didn't.
Yes, inherently by saying that, they're saying they didn't do it.
So who should Jawnie and Ned collar for Loretta's fatal overdose? So we got Lenny, Ricky, Shiv, and Bernice.
This is a good one, guys. This is hard, which isn't good because I don't have a very great track record this season of getting these right, which I'm disappointed in myself for. Although the last episode I kind of got right, kind of got wrong. I kind of guessed every single character. I kind of guessed all of them. And then at the end, you were like, you got it right. And I was like, I don't think I could have gotten it wrong. I don't think I could have gotten it wrong. But anyway, okay. My primary suspect here is Lenny, and it's the big thing for me is the key. But he already had a key is the thing. He was given a key to do this. And so I suppose my question with that is the timeline of it. He had a key made that day. So my assumption is Ricky gave him the key. He left and got a key replacement made, came back, and then went to Loretta. It's not like he turned the key back in. Thus, if he did it, then why would he have bothered making a second key?
Well, if he had a key, why would he go to Ricky and pay and not just go straight to Loretta?
Because he didn't have the copy of the key yet.
Oh.
The bag suggested, right, that he made the key that day. Did it not? That's how I interpreted it.
Well, they're going and visiting Lenny a couple of days at least after Loretta died. They're not, like, she didn't die that day. So he pulled the Home Depot bag out of his garbage can. So it was the receipt was dated.
You're right. It was after. So then why would Lenny have created a copy of any key? We don't know that it was Loretta's key that he made a copy of then.
We don't.
That
it just says a key.
Okay.
But he claimed he had a key, that she had given him a key.
And so that's the key that he obtained, which means it gives him access to... But who would have given him that key if he made it afterwards? Who would have given him the key to Loretta's room if that's the key he made?
We don't know when the key was made. We don't know when he went to Home Depot. We don't know if it was before Loretta died, after Loretta died.
The biggest thing I'm running into is why would he have needed a second key? That's why part of me
what noble and innocent reason would he have needed a second key?
No, I mean, what evil reason would he have needed a second key? Because he can already buy the key.
Maybe Loretta didn't give him the key, and he's...
Well, we know Loretta didn't. We know he bought the key. So why would he need to sneak in there if, anyway, he bought the key to get in? Was that an alibi?
You lost me.
Okay. Pretend if Lenny didn't have the key, didn't have the second key that he made,
yes,
nothing would be different. Because he could have bought the key from Ricky to get into the room and kill her anyway.
Yes, but then Ricky would know that Loretta was alive before Lenny went in and not after. What we know is that he paid Ricky for his time. He goes in and he finds her.
Oh, I see how that can be the problem.
So something happened to Loretta.
And that's how he would have gained access.
By
the key. Okay, so I think it's Lenny. Moving down the list, I don't think it's Bernice. I don't think she has a good enough motive. It's very feeble in my opinion, and I don't think she has opportunity either. And that's the biggest thing is what these characters have opportunity. I suppose Bernice could have gotten the opportunity to if she had gotten the key from Ricky because they were clearly working close together, but I don't think she has proper opportunity to do it. Ricky and Shiv both have access to the room in that they work there and they could just go in.
And Ricky's obviously holding her key.
Ricky's the one holding the key. But I also can't see motive for Ricky, right? Like,
no,
he wasn't really working with her, and them not working together as much as they were before didn't really affect them, right? Because
he was still making money off of her.
That's true. Even they are still working together. That's what I should.
Killing her doesn't solve the problem of her side hustling.
We also haven't heard anything in the regard of like Loretta was mad that Ricky had chosen Bernice to go do the OnlyFans thing. So there's no there's no ideology that there was any conflict caused because of that between the two of them.
Right.
So I don't think it's Ricky. He doesn't make sense. The interesting thing about him is the drug is the bottle, Mountain Dew bottle that clearly he brought in, because he's the only one who drinks that. But possibly, that could have been a framing thing, especially since Lenny immediately said, well, the only person who drinks that is Ricky.
Wasn't Bernice drinking that too?
Was Bernice? I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
Bernice, the doors opened and an elderly woman exited, a very large yellow tote bag over her shoulder and a Mountain Dew Zero dragon fruit in her hand. So Ricky and Bernice drink the soda.
Wow. Well, that's even more annoying because that's a clue. I still don't think it's Bernice, although that does point more to her. Again, just because of opportunity. Or sometimes in these stories, it's difficult because you kind of have to wonder, is opportunity being taken into account, or are we assuming anyone could have gotten in if they tried hard enough? You know? But so I'm considering opportunity as a factor, even though it could not be, because, all of these are in whatever reality that the author created, not the reality of real life.
We're all in Ken's reality.
Yes. So, and that happens in every single story. Is this really a factor? Or are we just assuming that this could have happened, which is, of course, not specific to Ken as a story or as an author. It's literally in every single mystery on the planet. You have to consider what is the author considering to be reality. So I'm still not saying it's Ken. Not Ken. It's definitely not Ken. It's definitely not Bernice. I don't think it's Shiv. Because, again, just no real...
So you just keep circling back to Lenny.
I think it has to be Lenny.
Okay.
He's the only one who seems to have any real motive.
All right. Well, let's
Which
read
even then,
on.
actually, he has strange motive. So I'm going to shut up and we're going to finish this story.
Guess who's dying for dinner? The unofficial call from the Pittman PD came 10 minutes before Lenny hobbled through the front door of the hasty background and investigations, red-faced and out of breath. Bernice's body had been found in the morning when she failed to show for breakfast. The cause of death had yet to be determined, and Lenny shook with rage as words spit from his lips. Thanks to you, the police bumbling around, DelVecchio has gotten away with another murder. And guess who magically showed up for his shift this afternoon? Back in Pittman Manor's good graces, swinging his dick as if nothing ever happened. Why am I the only one who sees conspiracy here? Ned and Jawnie sat opposite Lenny, on the other side of the small table near Ned's desk. Their eyes moved from Lenny's dark crimson face and the spittle hanging off his lips, to themselves and back. You're goddamn horrible at your job. I knew if I needed someone to fix the police's mistakes, I should have hired someone who never walked that damn blue line. Thick as thieves. You have every right to be angry, Lenny, Jawnie said, but you also have to look at it as our suspect pool has shrunk with this news. She shrugged and tilted her head. Do you think 2 murders are funny? I want to know why you don't have that fucking kid in here and under a spotlight trying to sweat a confession out of him. I told you. We're looking at all angles. We're looking at all angles here, and at someone who no longer walks that blue line, I can't just pull people from their jobs and interrogate them. Not to mention my battery and jumper cables are in the shop. Ned's attempt to lighten the moment fell on deaf ears. But seriously, I would put Siobhan Callahan at the top of our list at the moment. She could have been part of it, Lenny said, but her lackey did all the work. Get him to confess and he'll roll over on her. That piece of shit is the key. The soda bottle, for Christ's sakes. Probably had his prints on it. You said Loretta was diabetic, Jawnie said. She nodded her head. But 0 means no sugar, Ned added, and I can understand why an older gentleman wouldn't know that. Plus, the police dusted the bottle and only found Loretta's prints. Listen to me. Ricky has the access and ran the drug trade on that floor. You had to have learned that. Who else could have done it? Mrs. Jacobs in 201? She can't even wipe herself. Like I said, the head of security. Lenny's liver-spotted hand slammed down on the desk and Jawnie could hear each individual blood vessel burst. Ricky! DelVecchio! Are you deaf? He had access to the drugs. He practically ran the black market on the second floor. Yeah, but here's the problem with that, Ned said. We checked and his keys wouldn't have opened Dr. Winterberg's door, let alone her drug cabinet. You can get any kind of key copied at the hardware store, Lenny said with a shake of his head. Throw the stupid teenager running the machine a few bucks to have him look the other way. Ricky knows all the below-board angles. Or his boss gave him one. All the more reason to put the goddamn heat on him. About that. Sounds like someone with experience, Jawnie said, and nodded. In your rush to pawn off the zucchinis on me, you forgot the receipt in the Home Depot bag. She held up the slip of paper. At first, I thought you were desperate enough for company that you made a copy of At first, I thought you were desperate enough for company that Loretta made you pay to keep her key. Then I remembered Ricky said Johns need to pay before he provided the room key. On the night Loretta died, he confirmed a key handoff with you. But that was all part of your cover story. The real copied key was a master, Ned said, closing the file folder in front of him with force. The holy grail of access. The only way to get into an office to pilfer the liquid ketamine and into Loretta's room prior to your date. You slipped in, surprised her, and set the scene before your official date began. Who told you that? That dyke Shiv? Drug addict DelVecchio? Grasping at fucking straws. Let me guess, after I'm absolved, you'll claim it was Bernice, since no one can question her. Fucking amateurs. I knew I should have seen if the Pinkertons were still in business. And those 2 lines on the bathtub edge, those were for you, right? Ned asked. Everyone on the second floor hit up Ricky for something, but Loretta was way past snorting and you saw the opportunity. She offered and you laid some out to appease her, then helped fill the bag while she greased up and assumed the position. Dumped the contents of the soda bottle while she was distracted with lube and wiggling the insertion. How long did you stand over her before she died? Then you went back to your room, waited for the time of your date, and made the transaction with Ricky. All part of your master plan to throw suspicion off and gain some sympathy. Ned took a deep breath and glanced at Jawnie while he finished. She'd been tapping away on her phone for the last 2 minutes. She turned the screen so he could read. Ned nodded and smiled. Seems the Pittman police found the copied master room key on the lanyard around Bernice's neck, Ned said. Did you put it there to frame her? You know they can get DNA off the smallest surface area these days. Hell, the crime lab might want to revisit that soda bottle while they're at it. Let me take a stab at this, Lenny, Jawnie said. She crossed her legs and leaned forward and rested her forearms on her knees. You convinced Loretta to throw a little extra free time at one of the horny guards while you slipped the key off his ring and had it copied. For what? Some of that liquid ketamine from the good doctor's office. Or did you want that supply to keep her close? But Loretta had other plans. Bullshit! I cared for both women. I wasn't the one exploiting them. Rejection is a bitch, Jawnie said. Not to mention, all the police, need to do is to take the receipt and interview the person working the kiosk at the time stamped on it. I'm sure they'll remember you once a photo lineup is laid out or the appropriate frames from video surveillance are queued up. Lenny stood back and banged his fist on Ned's desk. No one has ever rejected Lenny Greaves. The word of dead whores? Please. He turned to leave. The jig's up, Lenny, Ned said. He stepped around the desk and laid a hand on Lenny's shoulder. Loretta's death was ruled a suicide, so you only solved half your problem. Loretta rejected you to keep working for Ricky, and that burned your ass more than paying for it. You think the rest of the ladies on the floor would see you as some white knight? Think they overwhelm you with free pussy for rescuing them from indentured servitude? It's 2026, Lenny, Jawnie said. If a woman wants to make a little extra off of what God gave her before he calls her home, who are you to say different? Get your hands off me, Lenny said, and swung around with his left fist cocked. That won't end well for you, Ned said. He pressed down on the shoulder man's shoulder and redirected him back to the chair. Nothing worked out as you expected, so you showed up on my doorstep, thinking a new agency would be hell-bent to please the customer and perhaps listen as he tried to point them toward a fall guy. What happened now? The working ladies shun you? You pissed Bernice choosing Ricky's OnlyFans over holding hands in your walk-in closet of a room? Your blood had to have been boiling by then. Rejection after rejection, and especially after all you spent on these women. Poor, lonely Lenny, all alone again, Jawnie said, as she moved to the opposite of Ned. The partner's pincher move kicked off, and with the Big Beautiful Bill's Medicaid cuts, Pittman Manor was having trouble filling vacant rooms. Tired of rejection with no new candidates on the horizon? You'd show them. Take down the whole lot of them. Fuck you both. So I did it. What are you gonna do? No one cares about a couple of crusty whores dying. My word against yours. Doddering old men with physical ailments and memory problems play well with juries. Lenny stood up and stepped back from the partners, approaching from both sides. Versus what? A former cop in the stand with his hand on a Bible? I'll take those odds any day of the week. But just in case, you got all that, Jawnie? The recorder's been going the whole time, she said with a wide grin. The end.
You know, what state was this taking place in? Was this Jersey?
Yes.
I wonder if in Jersey they have the law that you can legally record people without them knowing.
I don't know.
There are a lot of states where that's illegal, and that evidence will be thrown out. Did you do your research, Ken? I'm sure you did. I don't know.
Well, but they aren't cops.
Nonetheless, this applies to civilians. Now, it's a big thing in media ethics on what you can do to record yourself. And a lot of times, specifically...
Wait, record yourself?
Not record yourself, recording other people.
You have to have your own written and verbal approval that you could record yourself?
In some states, it is illegal to record other people without their consent.
Yeah.
Specifically because, like that's already sketchy. I don't remember the exact reasoning why. But in other states, it's like if you give consent, you can record yourself. Thus, if other people are in it, like whatever, I don't know. That's odd. But there's a big thing in media ethics on whether or not you can record other people.
Well, at least you remember that part.
Say that again?
At least you remember that part. It's a big thing.
Look, I paid attention in class. You think too little of me.
I do not. I think a lot of you.
Yes, you do. No, you think terribly of me. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. And there we go.
So let us introduce you to our friend Ken Harris. He spent 32 years with the FBI before retiring as a cybersecurity executive and turning his attention to crime fiction. From his Case Files of Steve Rockfish series, let me try that whole sentence again. I'm missing quotes in my script. His From the Case Files of Steve Rockfish series combines old-school detective grit with sharp humor and modern edge shaped by decades of real-world experiences. Let's just say you got a taste of Ken's sense of humor with today's episode. A New Jersey native now living on Virginia's northern neck, Ken shares life with his wife, Nicolita, and their two Labradors, Shady and Chalupa Batman. When he's not writing, he's cheering on Philly sports or enjoying a Monte Cristo cigar with a pour of Irish whiskey, soundtracked by Tool. Check him out on his website, KenHarrisFiction.com. Find him on Facebook and Instagram.
I always love when we have Ken on because I forget he has a dog named Chalupa Batman.
Who is featured heavily on Instagram. So if you follow Ken on Instagram, you will meet Chalupa Batman.
Yes.
Well, this wraps up this episode of Mysteries to Die For. Support our show by subscribing, telling a mystery lover about us, or giving us a 5-star review. Check out our website, m2d4podcast.com, for links to this season's authors and their websites and other episodes. Mysteries to Die For is hosted by me, TG Wolff, and him, Jack Wolff. Bedpan Alley was written by Ken Harris. Music and production are by Jack Wolff. Episode art is by TG Wolff. Join us next week for a toe tag, which, as you all know, is a first chapter from a fresh release in the mystery, crime, or thriller genre. Then come back in 2 weeks for our next original story, where chemical is our sticky means of murder. It's Magnetically Ever After by Karina Bartaw. All right, Jack, take us out.